Good morning and welcome to Enduring Journey to Bliss. My name is Deanne and I wanted to take a walk through the garden with you. I need to do some work in the garden today, but I wanted to get a video started before I do the work, and then hopefully I can do an after video. So here are some tulips in bloom along my little garden path. Now I do garden a mostly native garden, but I do have some non-natives. Here is some grape hyacinths. I have a couple little patches here. These hyacinths here are just about done. I need to deadhead. Here is another patch of the grape hyacinths. And another patch of regular hyacinths. Again, some deadheading is needed. And I have one more, it's in the sun, of the grape hyacinths. So I will go ahead and I'll zoom back out and we'll go ahead and walk around the garden. So I did take a video. I believe it's been a week now. So we'll take a look at what's growing in the garden at this point. A lot of my peonies are growing in nicely. They had just emerged the last time we walked through the garden. Here are some more tulips. And more tulips that have not quite opened yet. The leaves are still growing. Another peony. More tulips. That one does have a nice bud on it. More peonies. More tulips that are still forming. This is a couple tulips, and they look really small. I'll zoom in. You can see they're just starting to emerge. And next to it, or behind it, those peony stalks are just starting to emerge as well. And there's some more tulips. And this right here is a Eustacia Vye, I believe is how the name is pronounced. The Eustacia Vye, it's a David Austin rose. Another peony with a dandelion that I need to get out. But you can see the peonies there. That is a salvia and irises. That silvery gray, that is lamb's ear. Another peony looking quite healthy. Another iris. And this peony, I'll have to zoom in. She is just starting to emerge. You can kind of see her little tiny stalks just starting to emerge. And come on around. Here's an iris. This is a miniature iris. You can see the purple. I need to do my cleanup. I haven't done any yet because we are only at April 5th. And I garden in Colorado. So typically I don't really start much of my gardening until the end of April, because our last frost date is typically right around the first week of May or Mother's Day. So that's that garden bed, essentially. So this leads up to my porch. It's where we just came down. I do have some tulips up here. This right here is yarrow seed heads, and there's the yarrow green for this year. This is a bluestem, little bluestem. It's a grass, native prairie grass. Here's some more iris. This little section here is a ice plant. This particular one has lavender blooms. Then I have sedum. I have 3 of these sedums. There's 1, 2, and the third one is right there. I do have probably 80% native plants in this garden, along with some non-natives that I just really enjoy growing. Some tulips and a few great hyacinths in this little area here. Some more of that ice plant. Some more tulips and some little white daffodils. Let's see if I can get the white daffodils for you. It's a little bit hidden. White daffodils. And more grape hyacinths. And in this area, I have more tulips right there. And right beside it, the little green patch there, that is a Augustashi or Agastashi, depending on how you pronounce it. There's 3 of those. One there, one behind the tulips, and then one beside the tulips. With lots of grass that I need to pull. And then right above that is an Apache plume, which is a native plant to the area. And then in here I've got Penstemon. I have coneflower that I need to deadhead. And I wanted to get a shot of the American plum that I have growing. Look at the blooms. With the sun hitting on them, it looks quite lovely. It's my plum tree, native. We'll go ahead and walk back around. And we'll go up the walk. On both sides of the walk, I have my peonies that line it. So you can see this peony here. It's coming in quite nice. I'll zoom in a little. There's a peony. And here's a peony. And that right in there, that is goldenrod, native plant. Here's another peony with tulips right beside it. There's an iris and more goldenrod. You can see the new green. So I need to go ahead and deadhead. I leave all the stalks because the wildlife come in and they eat the seed heads. They eat the seed throughout the winter. Some different pollinators, bees, other little critters, they actually will hibernate and live throughout the winter in the stalks. So I do not remove those in the fall. I leave them. So here's more tulips. And that tulip there is beginning to get a little color on the bud. Here is another peony. Another tulip. And Another peony growing nicely, and another tulip. Nice color on this tulip. I'll back up a little bit so it's a better shot of the tulip. And iris right there. And all these stalks here, these are ironweed. And they're still seed heads. You can see them at the very top. They're kind of that creamy. Those are the seeds. So this is part of what I'm going to work on today, is to get this cut back. Like I said, typically I leave it all winter for the critters that hibernate inside the stalks. Or some may not hibernate, they may lay eggs. So I leave that. I don't cut it back and discard it. I keep it all winter. And down here is another tulip, or excuse me, another peony. And this is a tulip. And another tulip. And another peony. You can barely see it because I still have the leaves in there, but there's the tulip, or the peony behind the tulip. And, and here are some Rose of May is that type right there. It is a daffodil, Rose of May. Has not bloomed yet. And then on the other side over here, this is another walk path that I have in my yard. But by my porch, we have got tulips. These ones, they've already bloomed. You can see I need to deadhead. The peach jam is actually the iris right beside the tulip. Then another iris. And behind that iris are some white daffodils. I need to deadhead. They're about done. And here's those same white daffodils. They are fading as well, but you can at least see their shape. And they have some great hyacinths planted in among them. And there was a tulip. You can see some of the faded petals there. And this peony has already got buds. This is amazing. This is April 5th. And I live in Colorado. Look at the buds. I'm hoping that's coming through for you. That is amazing. Look at how healthy those buds are looking. Wow. So yeah, that's a peony. And then there's another peony and some iris. There's another peony. Another peony. Oh my goodness. And this peony also has buds all over it. Can you see those buds? And then right above that is a honeysuckle. It is a major wheeler, and it has lovely red blooms on it. In fact, some already open. Hummingbirds love it. So that's right beside my porch area. And another peony here. Can't tell if that's in the shot for you. Nope, there it is. Now it is. Another peony. And some more tulips that have already done their show. And some great hyacinths that are kind of hanging on. And so in this little bed, I also have a rose. She's a climbing rose. You can kind of see her through. I have her along my porch rail. She's just starting to get her leaves. No buds yet. Then these here are lilies. In fact, there's a lily. Come on. See that green at the base of that stem? That is a lily emerging. So that's good to see. And right here's another one. See the lily? That's this year's lily. And the brown stalk is last year's lily. Again, this is part of what I'm going to be cleaning up today. Actually, all of my lilies. The new growth and the old stalk. The new growth, the old stalk. So that's good to see. Yeah, that's excellent to see. And then we have another iris right here. And then this rose here is another climber. It has a little bit more leaf growth than the other one. This iris is actually a Kiss Me Kate climbing rose. And so that is the areas that I'll be working on today. I do want to show you this over here. I have peonies in pots. Take a look at this peony. Look how healthy she looks. She's in a pot. And then this peony here is in a pot. In a big pot. So yes, I need to get started. I need to do some work. Start cleaning up these two beds, essentially. I want to do some cleaning right there in the center of the screen. That's a native plant. It's called a manzanita. But I just need to start cleaning up. And there's a lovely dandelion. Or two or three. So yeah, there's a lot of cleanup. Again, this is just April 5th. Quite early in the season for a Colorado garden. But it is what it is. And I need to do some cleanup today for sure. And before I actually close today, I will walk this direction too. So this is one of my penstemons. And you can see, I'll zoom you out. You can see how healthy she is. Quite healthy. And she actually has buds. I will bring it in. Hopefully you can see those buds. I'll zoom in. She already has buds. There you go. Look at that. This one is a red penstemon. I'll zoom you back out. I'll bring it up. And here is my plum tree. Lots of buds that have not opened yet. But I'll zoom you in on those buds. They're quite pretty. Very pretty. On my plum tree. And that is an American plum. Let me see if I can get the little sign for it. Yeah, American plum. So it's a native. Okay. All right. And I'll take you down here a little bit. There's a little bluestem grass in there. Iris. Some coral bells. Chives. This is more that I need to deadhead. That is a blue azure salvia native plant. And in this area here, I've got some fireweed. I've got some coneflowers. I have Penstemon, Rocky Mountain Penstemons right there. There's a rose right there, getting tall. Here is some more irises. And this is, whoops, I'm sorry. This is prairie smoke. I'll zoom in. That is prairie smoke blooming, forming. The buds are forming there. Not quite open, but very nice. And then I've got more roses. More roses. That is Monarda. That one right there. Again, I keep all the stems for the critters that like to live in them or have babies in them over winter. This iris already has buds. You see those buds? Iris buds. Nice to see. Next to it is tulips. Another iris back there. And this is asters. Seed heads on the asters. The green down here is Penstemon. That is a pink Penstemon. It's lovely. The hummingbirds really enjoy it. And here are tulips. Let me get some shot down here of these tulips. These are quite lovely. More tulips here. The crocus have already bloomed, so they are done for the season. So yeah. So that's just a quick look this morning before I start work. Now I won't be able to get all of this done today. This is a project. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the plants. I like working on them. I love seeing the pollinators that visit. And I find it quite enjoyable. Again, those are the plum blooms. Those will focus better, hopefully, for you guys. And if you've never smelt a plum tree in bloom, they have such a lovely scent. And there's more of them there. Those are all plum. If you come up, try to go slow. So a lot of them have not opened yet. See, they're tiny little tight buds. So there will be more plum blooms to open. And they do fill the air with such a lovely aroma, scent. And when there's a light breeze, it's just a very nice scent. And down here is this is a bronze fennel. And again, I'll leave the stalks for any critters that want to lay eggs or hibernate in the winter. But down at the base, hopefully that's coming through, you can see the new leaves emerging for this season already. And this little shrub here, I can get that to focus. This little shrub here, this is a native shrub, and it is a ribes, R-I-B-E-S. This variety has pink blooms on it when they open. Okay, so I think I'll come over here, kind of where we started, and I'll close on this. It's just quite pretty to see the tulips and the grape hyacinths. That white behind the orange tulips. And beside the grape hyacinths, that white is seed heads for Gaillardia blanket flower, which is a native plant. And like I mentioned, my plants in my garden beds, they are 80% native, and then the remaining 20% are the tulips, the roses, the peonies, the chives, the irises, things like that. So if you have an opportunity, get out in your garden. There's another rose right there. It's getting lots of leaves on it too. And have get out in your garden if you can. Enjoy the day. It is Easter, so if you celebrate Easter, enjoy the day with your family and friends. And I will try to do a follow-up video after I've done some garden cleanup. Thanks for stopping by, and feel free to visit again. Take care. So this plant that I am working on, cutting back last year's stems, is a azure blue or pitcher salvia. It is a native plant, but if you look down at the base, you can see this year's growth, the nice little green beginning to emerge down there at the very base of the area that I'm working on. And what I'm cleaning up is last year's stems that I leave in place for any bees or other pollinator critters that want to hibernate throughout the winter or lay their eggs for the winter. We're at April 2nd of 2026, and at this point it's very unseasonably warm in Colorado, but I'm removing these stems at this point, doing some garden cleanup today. But I wanted to share the new growth that you can see emerging at the base. So that blue salvia, azure blue salvia, or pitcher sage, which is a native plant to the Colorado area, it is completely cut back now. The next thing I'm going to work on is right behind it. It is a David Austin rose. As you can see, there is green growth, but like this right here, there is really no sign of life on that particular stem, so that will be removed. So I'll do a little bit of the rose trimming as I go through as well. And anytime I come across anything like that dandelion, I try to pull those up when I'm coming in doing this spring cleaning. And as we can see in here, it looks like some wind brought in some trash, so that's all part of my spring cleanup as well. This plant that I'll work on after the rose, this is my ironweed plant, and it's quite tall. I don't want to get the sun in the glare, but it's very tall indeed. It's a beautiful plant. So I'll be working on that after I finish working on this David Austin rose. This particular rose is the Ancient Mariner. It's a lovely pink, nicely scented David Austin rose. So now that I've cleaned up where my ironweed was and where my blue azure or my pitcher sage was at, I've also removed some dandelions, grass, You can now actually see this rose right here. One thing I wanted to point out is one of the things with the plum tree that you'll get are these little suckers. So I'm going to have to come through and I'm going to have to remove these suckers. There's one right there, little trees, and there's one right there. And so plum trees, they will push out those suckers, so you just either, if you don't want a grove of them, you just have to pull those suckers out, dig them up. Here's one right in front of me, right beside this rose. Here's one, and here's one, and here is one. So you just have to pull them up and out. So what I'm working on now is Rocky Mountain Penstemon. This is a native Colorado Penstemon, and as you can see, I have lots of deadheads to do on this. Just get these old stalks and old, mostly empty seed heads removed because the birds have ate what they're going to at this point. And you can see all the new Rocky Mountain green growth underneath as I'm working on this section here. And right beside me over here, this is a fern bush, and this is also native to my area that I grow in Colorado. And this little fern bush, I had almost given up hope for it, but as you can see, this year it has given me quite a bit of green growth, quite a bit. So I'm very happy with this fern bush. It might even give me some blooms this year. That would be lovely. It has one long stem, well actually two long stems that are almost prone to the ground down here, but that's okay. There's quite a bit of it that is growing upwards, that is growing upwards, so I'm going to let it do what it wants to do, and I'll just enjoy having it in the yard. I'm also getting ready to deadhead, cut back this. This is Goldenrod, so I'm going to be cutting this mess back here in just a little bit. I'll pan around again. Right there's a Sedum that I have not got to yet. You can see the green growth. It has those more of a brown, reddish seed head. There's some black seed head. That is the coneflower. This is the Rocky Mountain Penstemon. This is a rose that I've already cut back. There's a second rose right there. And this green right here, maybe I'll zoom in. That is a wax currant, which is part of the ribes or ribes, R-I-B-E-S family, the currant family. And she has pink flowers when she blooms. So she's doing pretty good too. I cleaned up this iris, the area around that iris. It looks a little bit better now. Again, I cleaned up where the blue salvia was at. As you can see, I've cut back quite a bit in this general area here. I've cut down the ironweed plant, cleaned around the iris, cleaned around the tulips and the pansies. Took out the Azure salvia or pitcher sage or big blue salvia. Worked on that rose right there, cleaned it up. Started working on the Rocky Mountain Penstemon. As you can see, I have a lot more to go, but you can see how nice and full that is, where I have cleaned it up. Again, I cleaned up this area here. I cut back my little bluestem grass, and I cleaned up around this iris as well. I cleaned up around this peony and that goldenrod. And I didn't realize how healthy my fern leaf bush had become. This is fern leaf bush. It's got kind of fern-looking leaves on it. It's a nice plant, but I thought I had lost it. It was all covered underneath the goldenrod, the dead goldenrod stems, which is doing quite healthy. And maybe I will get some blooms this year off of this fern leaf, or this fern bush, excuse me. Let me make sure I'm saying it right. I got the name tag right here. And don't look at, there we go, fern bush. Hopefully that's coming through. Yeah. So I also cleaned up that sedum and worked on some of the goldenrod. This one. A little bit on this one. Removed some of the seed heads from it. Still a lot more to go. And still quite a bit left to do. Again, this is only April 5th, 2026. Let me get some trash right here. So, just thought I'd share. Let you see what I had worked on. This morning, when I first took the video, this tulip had not opened yet. Now it's open. It's a pretty little tulip. So as I clean the garden this year, I will be sure to bring you all along. Still a lot to clean, but you have to start somewhere. And that's what I did. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by. And, oh, I have one other area I wanted to show you. This area is beside my driveway, and I have not done anything at all over here yet this season. But these tulips are quite lovely. So I wanted to share these with you all today. They're very pretty. So I think I'll end on that. You all have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by. And feel free to visit again soon. Take care. I almost missed this beautiful shrub. I didn't realize that they were in bloom. This is a viburnum. There's lots of buds on it yet to open. I kept smelling it, and I didn't realize what I was smelling. I kind of thought, oh, it was one of the neighbors got their laundry going, and and I can smell their laundry sheet. But this is a viburnum, Korean spice. She smells quite lovely. Didn't even realize that she was in bloom. She is not the garden bed I was working on. It's probably why I missed her. But she is lovely. And she has the most beautiful scent. Nice clove scent. Try to see if I can get a close-up down here. If it'll focus. Come on, focus. Well, there we go. It's very pretty. All right. Take care.